There you are. I had a feeling you would pop up here.
Hey guys, it's us.
We're back
for Untitled Podcast, episode 5.
Number 5. Number 5. I don't know any other numbers in other languages.
This is the lovely, wonderful, my boyfriend, Ben.
And this is the lovely, wonderful, my girlfriend. I'm flustered. My beautiful girlfriend, Jess. We are back, boys and girls.
We are back just for your entertainment.
And for you to sit back, relax, and just have a fun time listening to these two wonderful little souls as they let you into their little adventures about their life and their experiences and thoughts on things that you probably don't even care about. But hey, let's get into it, shall we?
Shall we?
It's been another couple weeks.
It's been 1 week.
It's been pretty. It's like we always say, it's been pretty eventful. When more or less we don't really do anything too crazy, just because the world is the way it is.
Not better yet, fully.
And we try not to overdo ourselves because we work. We try to make things right, and we try to make everything good. So we try to find ways to relax us, or find things that are at least somewhat safe in our eyes to experience and have fun with.
I mean, right now I feel like we are relaxing a lot because it is thundering outside, and it's like our favorite thing to fall asleep to.
If during the podcast, if you hear a little thunder rumbling or anything like that, it's only mainly because at the time of recording right now it is storming where we are. So,
or if you hear any snoring, one of us probably passed out,
which would be an amazing podcast because that's what you want to listen to, is two people falling asleep. But we're not.
Hope that doesn't happen.
We're not going to do that. No, we're not going to do that.
I just felt like making a joke there.
Good joke. But so let's get into it, shall we? What can we discuss? If you hadn't noticed by now, the little welcoming introduction at the beginning of the video, we took a little trip.
We took an adventure into a lovely land.
Yeah, we took a little trip to a village.
Very big village.
Do you get it yet? We're going to talk a lot about. Okay, so we're going to talk a lot about Resident Evil 8, Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil thick boy, thick girl
That's
simulator.
That's what I was about to say. Two thick
individuals.
So yeah. Let us know if you enjoy their thickness just as much as we do.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. We straight up Disturbed got down with the thickness with this one.
I think it's funny though, because like when we first started jumping into the game, like before the game even came out, we kept saying thick for the woman and stuff, for Lady D. And like we were all about that. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as we saw Duke, it's like our not saying we don't like Lady D.
We knew Duke was a big boy, but it's like like a lot of people when they were really trying to hype up the game and everything like that. Everybody was primarily focused on Lady D and everything like that. And when they saw like Duke in the trailers and stuff like that, they're like, "Oh, it's a new merchant. He's not as charismatic or as interesting as the merchant in Resident Evil 4." So people weren't going to have a lot of love for him. And then as soon as the game comes out, everybody starts playing it. Just all the love in the world for Duke, and that's great because Duke has become one of our favorite characters in the game.
He really has.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so a good chunk of the pod. Well, I'm not going to say a good chunk because it's like we're probably not just going to be talking about this, but a pretty decent amount of the podcast today we're going to be talking about Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 8. So if you haven't played it yet, well, I will warn you ahead of time before we get into like some spoilery type of stuff. But if you don't want to be spoiled, go play the game. And if it doesn't matter to you, then hey, you don't have to do anything. But so yeah.
If you haven't played the game, he will let you know where to skip to.
Mm-hmm.
In this
I'll put it when we get to the spoilery territory.
Like if you want to listen to the podcast and you haven't played the game, he'll let you know. Otherwise, play the game and then watch the podcast then, or listen.
Or watch it, listen to the podcast while you play it. You never know.
There you go. Exactly. You never know.
So here we go.
Our adventure might be your adventure. You never know.
Exactly. So let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's get into the thickness of this game. Pun intended.
That's actually what I was going to talk about while we're getting into the thickness. I felt like that would have been a really... I mean, I love the Chris statue, but that would have been a really good statue for the collector's edition if it was Duke.
Which is something we can bring up before we actually even start talking about the game. I don't know if it was in the last podcast or like in episode 3 where we're talking about collector's editions. And we actually brought up that we weren't able to get the collector's edition of Resident Evil 8. And by some weird, unbelievable divine miracle, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, the new GameStop we go to now, since we dumped our old local one.
We dumped it. It's stinky.
They did what is stinky, so we said the bye-bye. But yeah, so we dumped them like a bad habit, and now this new GameStop we go to now, good place, good people.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We were actually fortunate enough because since we're apparently just a Pokemon card channel and a podcast channel now, apparently in some regards.
Eyes.
But we got other content, but anyway.
Keep a lookout.
So we were there that day, and we were looking for Pokemon cards because obviously we need Pokemon cards to open, because if we don't open Pokemon cards, we don't have content.
If we don't have content, we don't have a video, or we don't have a channel, you silly.
Exactly. So we were there, we were browsing. Look, we do our usual stuff. We look at the Switch games, we look at the Funko Pops. Because even though we don't typically collect Funko Pops as much as we used to, I mean, granted, we didn't even really collect them. We mostly just collected Overwatch and then just a few every now and then that stood out and that we really liked. But,
that Psyduck one is looking pretty cute.
Yeah.
Because possibly considering picking that up.
Yeah, because they I don't know if they just came out, but they have a Psyduck and a metallic or like silver looking Bulbasaur now for the Pokemon 25th anniversary. Because we already have the silver Pikachu, so like we saw the silver Bulbasaur, and I'm like, yeah,
he's cute. It's so cute.
He's an adorable boy. We do love the Bulbasaur in this house.
We really do. Before we jump into the story of looking around, I will love to point this out. I'll still let you finish up telling the story. I love to point out he surprised me majorly this day because I remember, like, it was actually the day he posted it on Twitter, a picture of us being at the nail salon, which I got my nails done.
Yeah.
It was the same day as that. We were getting all that done, and, you know, he looked at me, he's like, hey, do you have anywhere else you want to go? I'm like, not really, not that I can think of. What about you? And he's like, I have one stop. And me being me, I'm like, where? I want to know. And he's like, it's a surprise. I'm like, where? All right. So as I was saying, we were going in the car. I thought we were going home at first, and I kept asking, where are we going? And he's like, you'll see. And I was like, okay, you know what? I love surprises, so I should stop trying to always ask, where are we going? What are you getting me? What is it? So from now on, I just love him surprising me anyways. That's when we showed up at GameStop, and I will let him take over the story.
So we rolled, like I said, we were at the GameStop. We did the usual thing. We looked for the cards and everything like that. And right over because again, she doesn't know this. She doesn't know what's going on. I completely am 100% like aware of what's happening. But I'm playing it off like, oh, this is unexpected. Oh no. Oh my God, can you believe it? Because what she didn't know, I had priorly spoke to some of the associates at this GameStop, and I got information about a certain item, a certain collector's edition that she's had her eye on, very, very much so, for a good chunk of time now. And I was making sure that, hey, will you guys have it available, and will it be there? And they're like, yep. And I said, hey, if there's any possible way, we will be there today to pick it up. Can you hold it for us? And again, this is why we go to this GameStop now and not our local one anymore. They absolutely 100% worked with me, and they're just like, yeah, we could hold it for you. So while we were there, and we were looking around. It was in like, you know how like they have like the 3 TVs for each platform. They have one for Xbox, for PlayStation, and for Nintendo. And in the display, sometimes they have consoles and accessories and stuff like that. And right there in that glass case was the Resident Evil Village Collector's Edition for PlayStation 4. And me, I like to stick it a little bit more, little like nonchalantly, and I'm like, oh my god, look what they have. And kudos to her for not realizing. I was like, I totally planned this and everything like that. But she was being like, she was looking and stuff, and I'm like, oh, look what they have. And then she's like, what? And then she saw it, and she's like, oh
my god, babe,
yeah.
Babe, they have it.
And I'm like, oh my goodness, they have it. And then I'm like, well, we're kind of, I guess we're here. We saw everything we need to see. I guess we can go now. And then I saw her. She was looking kind of bummed, and I'm like, ha ha ha! This is where I do my thing. This is where I get sneaky.
Pulled me in.
And then I'm like, well, do you want it? And she's like, I don't know, because we always do this with each other a lot when we ask anybody anything about. Like, if we want something, it's like, do you want it? And then we'll immediately go, I don't know. If you want it, then we can get it. And I'm just like, stop kidding with me.
We do this all the time.
And it got to me. I'm just like, just stop telling me if I want it. Just like, do you want it? Do you want it? And she's like, yes, I want it. And then I'm like, one Resident Evil Village Collector's Edition, please.
Please. Yeah, no, I remember because I was like, yes, please.
But there again, all about everything that happened there, because we were able to get some cards, and we picked up the Resident Evil Village Collector's Edition. The only thing that I was not expecting, and I'm bummed because it sucks so bad that we weren't able to, because we were like, because I had a set budget of what we were going to be able to spend while we were there. But I wasn't aware they had an Xbox Series X in the Microsoft section of the store in the glass case, and it was there, and it was available, and you could buy it, and I'm like, oh my god! I was so mad, and I'm just like, if I didn't buy the stupid collector's edition, I could have bought the Xbox.
Hey, it's not stupid.
But again, I was upset because we couldn't get it, but then I remembered, hey, I'm here to get something for her. I'm not here for me today. Today's not about me. Today is not about me. Today was like, that whole day was basically me pampering her and treating her right and giving her like just a special day for her, because she works really hard. She does so much, and you know what? Sometimes you just have to go out of your way and just treat the person that you're with the love and respect, and just give them a day that says, hey, you're number one in my book.
Like I would love to do with you.
Yeah, when's that going to happen?
It has happened.
I'm messing with you.
No, like, I just remember that's actually why I kept asking, because I know you hated me being like, do you want it? Because you were trying to see if I wanted it. But that's one main reason I kept saying, hey, do you want it? Because I knew like, we saw the Xbox. Mm-hmm. That's why I was like, would you rather have the Xbox? And you're like, no.
And it was so hard for me to say.
You.
It was so hard for me to say, no.
But
it hurt my bones.
I was like,
it hurt my bones. It's so bad.
I was like, yes, please. And we went up to the counter.
As soon as she said yes, I'm like, yeah. And then as we were walking to the car, I told her, and she's like, oh my god, I can't believe they had it, and everything. And it's like that. And it's like, yeah, it's nice when my surprises work for you. And she's like, whoa.
Then he let it.
And I'm like,
I love how, like, we went up, because, like, when we went up to the counter to say, Village Collectors, please, it took a lot of us not to say, thick collector edition, please.
It's hard not to, but,
But, yeah.
we had to be appropriate. When we're around people, we have to be.
But
yeah, that was a pretty cool day.
He surprised me that day.
So now we are the proud owners. We lucked out, man. We were able to get the collector's edition for Village.
No.
And it's unopened, so we haven't opened it. It's sitting right there next to the Oculus, completely completely unopened.
Next to our Resident Evil 4
yeah,
machine.
both of our Resident Evil things are just boxed up.
I mean, to be fair, the main reason why we have not opened Village yet is because we already own it on our Xbox Series S. So
I think we wanted to do like an unboxing video of it.
Yeah, that too. So
yeah, so if we feel like up to it enough, we might do an unboxing video. I know there's like a bunch of people unboxing it already, but hey, have you seen us do it? No, you haven't seen us do it.
Hope you like it.
So it might be something special. You never know.
You never know when it will be either.
But going back to like the main topic.
Yes, definitely. I was gonna go back.
So the main topic is obviously with the collector's edition. We finally dove in and we finally played Village. And man, oh man, the similarities, the just the overall game itself, the fun factor, and this was one of those games that I was worried if it was going to be one of those games that has what I like to call the honeymoon phase. And for whoever doesn't understand what the honeymoon phase is, the honeymoon phase is basically when you play a game and you're just, the entire time you're playing it, you're loving every second of it, you're having a blast, you're enjoying it, and then you finish it, and then you go back like maybe a day or a few days later and play the game again, and then you look and you think to yourself, it's like, why isn't it as fun as it was when I first played it? That's what I deem the honeymoon phase, when you don't have as much fun as you did as the initial first time of playing it. With Village, in my opinion, and she'll tell you hers, in my opinion, there was not no honeymoon phase with that. Holy crap. I played the holy balls out of this game.
He did. I watched every time.
And she's been playing through it now too. It's like she watched me play through it, and now she's playing through it herself. And it's just like, it feels honestly like we both know how the story pans out.
Oh yeah.
But the for some reason, us watching each other's reactions and everything, even though we know what's happening, is just it makes the game more fun.
It makes it so much better.
And now that we know where everything is, we know how to get through things. We start having unlimited ammo and we can blast through things. Oh my god, the game is fun.
Bringing that up, if you guys like to see some gameplay of one of us playing that, let us know in the comments if you would like it.
I'm not doing it.
I'll possibly do it.
We're not doing it. I'm just kidding.
But you said I would tell how I feel about it. I felt the exact same way you do. Like
there was no honeymoon phase.
There was no honeymoon phase for me either. Like I enjoyed it from beginning to end.
Yeah.
I'm still going through my second playthrough. I'm almost done.
Yeah.
But you played it like
I think overall like I've completed the game itself, I want to say about 9 or 10 times now.
Oh yeah.
As of right now. Yeah. So obviously our first playthrough. Wow. We're just gonna get into it right now.
Let's dim the lights. And
the lights are dimmed. It's a little chilly. You feel the snow. You turn on the game, and I remember the first thing that I said to her when the game started up, and it's like the opening scene where Mia is reading the storybook to Rose.
Yes.
It's like it's the first scene that you see in the game, and the only thing it was like because we saw Mia, because obviously if you played Resident Evil 7 you know who Mia is. You see Mia and it's almost just like, oh, it's an old friend. We saw someone that we know. But it was that initial feeling, and then the other immediate feeling that kicked right in was just, holy crap, this game looks good.
Oh, yes.
And again, we didn't play it on a PS5. We didn't play it on a Series X. We played it on a Series S. And Lord Almighty, just again, maybe it looks creamy, blasting better on those platforms, but we played it on the S, and good Lord, it is some god tier looking stuff. It is
so beautiful.
It is a gorgeous game. But from the very beginning, like we started playing, and immediately, because if you saw our like village and castle demo that we did, It's just like we wanted to play the demo, but we also, because I'm pretty sure that you're the same way as I am. When a new game comes out, and especially if it's in like a franchise you love, you want to explore god dang near everything.
Oh yeah, you know I am the same way.
Because I saw like when you and I both played the demo, it's like even you were all like, I want to look at stuff, I want to experience everything like that. So the second we started playing, and then you actually get control of Ethan and everything like that, you're supposed to take Rose upstairs and put her to bed.
Oh yeah.
But the first thing we do is just like, let's look at every nook and cranny of this house. It's like we looked around in the bathroom, we looked in the bedroom, we looked in the office, study. We looked in the kitchen.
We even looked in like a kind of like an attic room, like a storage room where they have everything. Yeah.
It's just everything. Just like even if it wasn't anything in particular, even if it was just like a little note or a photo that you could look at, or just to hear some little snippet of dialogue that Ethan would say. It's like anything we could see was just holy crap. I want to absorb everything.
It's like while we're talking about this, I remember like I think we both looked at it, but when you walked into the study and they had the little photo, like the photo booklet.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
and it had the pictures of baby Rose, and oh my gosh.
It's like I will say this, like I have seen many a video game with like a baby in it.
Yeah.
And this is truthfully, and I'm not even saying this because the game was like we really enjoyed the game, but this is probably one of the very few games where they actually modeled like a baby in a video game where it actually genuinely looks like a very cute baby.
Yeah.
Because you've seen babies in video games. Those things look like potatoes with eyeballs.
I mean, you've seen some babies in real life too. Not all babies in real life.
But there's other babies we'll get into about this game that ain't cute. But trust me. But as we're talking about it, but
this one was so adorable.
But it's just like the first thing that I really noticed, like as you're like putting Rose to bed, like right when you're starting, is just like because one thing I will say this, in Resident Evil 7, Ethan was kind of corny. Ethan was a very corny character.
I mean, yeah.
It's just like he had no personality whatsoever. And it's just like, just within the few moments of playing Resident Evil 8, it's just like, wow, Ethan just feels like a completely different character.
I mean, there are still a few parts.
He does have his
he
has his crony thing. Crony.
I just said that too.
Corny things about him, but it's just like he's more. I guess the best way to put it, he's more evolved than he was in 7 in this game, which I like.
I love it too.
I want to talk about the one scene that happens like right after you put Rose to bed. And you and I both know this. And it's like, again, if you saw the trailers, you know what happens and everything like that. Yeah. But the trailers don't show you how it happens.
They don't show you all the details. They don't give you that
it's just like,
to let you know everything.
And the first thing that and then we see Rose and Ethan, they're like, you know, they're talking, they're good, and it constantly feels like Mia's trying to hide something. And everything like that, and like, because Ethan's always asking her, we should talk, you know, like open up and talk about it and everything like that. She's like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. It's just like, just forget about it.
Yeah.
And then this is right when the scene happens. And again, we didn't know how it was going to pan out, because it's like, obviously we saw what happens in the trailer.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're wondering, how does that happen, like in this? And then right after that, and just like, I remember, because it's like, you remember exactly what happened.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, Mia's standing right there, Ethan's sitting at the table, and then just out of nowhere, just one solid gunshot just goes right through her shoulder.
And then...
And we're like, what the... And then she just gets bombarded with bullets. Yeah. Just like boom, 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 and we're over here just like, holy crap!
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know about you, but I had to hold back from crying because I'm oh my god,
it was
what
like,
happened?
What the heck? And then, and obviously, this is the part when the trailer shows up. This is when Chris shows up.
Yes.
And it's just like, and again, obviously, because this is our first time playing, we don't know what the cause of it is, what's the reasoning behind it, and everything like that.
Why they did that to Mia.
And then it's just like the whole time this happened, because it's like you had that little moment with Mia and everything, and then there's Rose, and then you see that they grab Rose, and then Chris takes her, and everything like that. And just the whole time we were seeing that, and it's like, Chris, you're a dick. You're a huge... I was going to say an asshole. You're just like, Chris, you're a dick. You're 100% a certified dick. And it was like...
You're a big weenie.
It's just like, I was like... I want, and it's weird because it's like I know Chris since the beginning and everything like that, and he's doing this, and it's like at the beginning of it, there's no explanation for it. There's no reasoning. It's like, why did he kill Mia? Why is this happening? Why did he take Rose? And why didn't he kill Ethan in the process? But he's just like, nope, iced your wife, took your baby, I'm out.
So it's like we instantly just thought the worst of
Yeah,
him.
we thought it's like this whole thing was just like he decided to develop some kind of like Wesker complex, and then just decided to be the bad guy.
What did you think he was?
I thought he was a dick, and then I was gonna say he was an asshole.
Say it again.
He was an asshole.
Say it for real.
No, I'm not gonna say it. Anyway, but so and then like after that the cutscene plays, and then you officially, I guess in light of a better term, you actually start the actual game.
Oh yeah.
Because like after that whole scene
Beautiful
happens,
atmosphere.
after that whole scene happens, Ethan wakes up from like I guess like a car, like the vehicle that he gets put into crashes.
Like, from what I'm wondering too, when he wakes up, I'm assuming, I don't know if this is like if you know or not, but I feel like they like drugged him or something. Like they're putting him to sleep because he it's like
I think they knocked him out.
Or like the car like he might have hit his head during that car crash.
Yeah,
and
I'm
passed
more
out
than
from
likely
that.
just because of the way it was going.
Yeah.
I feel like they just knocked,
They knocked
him out.
Yeah.
But it's just like right after that, it's right when he wakes up, and then you're just like, it's dark, it's snowing, you're by yourself, and then this is officially where your game starts. And then you're just, and there's no like rapid movement or anything. It's just like you feel you as you're like moving with Ethan or everything, you can tell he got roughed up.
Yeah.
He's hurt and everything because there's no like quick movement. You're kind of like dragging your feet at a slow pace.
Like it's almost like a zombie-like walk.
And then it's
That's when you feel the snow though.
Yeah, and then like the atmosphere as you're walking, because I remember like as you're walking through like the dark area before you get to the little cabin, like you hear things, especially if you have like good audio setup and everything like that. The sound design of this game is insane. It is insane how good it is.
I'm not gonna lie, like I got scared from the beginning because when you were walking and you saw like all the crows and stuff, and like obviously with
like the one crow that's like that you think is dead that you walk by, it just goes all crazy.
I literally that's what scared me. Like you saw me jump.
And then and oh yeah, because like I remember you pointing it out as you're walking to the little cabin and everything like that. You're just like, oh my god, did you see that? Because there's this little bridge that you're gonna cross before you get to the cabin. Oh, yeah. And as you're walking, if you don't look right up, right as you're about to cross that bridge, you'll miss it. But if you do, you'll see someone like run across the screen.
Oh yeah.
Like you'll see us like a shadowy figure run across the screen, and they're like, no.
No.
It's like, that right there is just like, no.
So that's what terrified you. I saw you jump there,
It's mainly just because it's like, because one, the atmosphere was just really good. The
Since
sound was
dark.
crazy, and because it was dark, and then all you see is just like the small, like kind of like lighted silhouette of like feet running across, and you're like, nah.
It's like something you don't expect, so you get scared. You're like, what's going on?
And then it's just like, so much interesting stuff happens there, and then it's just, man, it's like, I want to talk more. It's like, literally, this whole podcast should just be us talking about the experience of the game. So I figured instead of making it just talking about the game, we'll talk about a few brief parts of the game that we really, really liked. Okay, so
that sounds
all right. So
perfect.
obviously, one of my favorite things, because I don't want to talk about stuff that we already talked about when we played the castle demo, so or the village demo. So I'll say this, like, obviously the first time that we see Duke in the game.
Oh yeah.
Again, as like, I already liked Duke when we already mentioned that we already liked Duke, but there was one particular point where we were playing. Because obviously he makes like small talk with you when you're scrolling through the menus and everything like that.
Oh yeah.
And I remember like as we were talking, it's like I was looking at upgrades and stuff. It's like, oh, I can buy this upgrade. And as soon as we close that out, he says this one thing that I'm just like, oh my god, this game is so Resident Evil 4. It hurts.
Oh yeah.
And I love it.
I mean,
and it's like you remember too, because it's like we clicked off the menu and you remember exactly what he said, right?
Yeah.
What did he say?
Because it was
Because, like, right after it is, like, what it was, like, he says, like, the one line. And you know exactly what it is. Like, I want to hear you say it.
What is that the part where we like scream like he said the thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah.
I just want to clarify. Okay,
no, that's the part I'm talking about.
Okay, I didn't know if you were because there was a few things it seemed like Resident Evil 4 that.
Oh
he
no,
said,
we'll
like,
get into the Resident Evil 4 similarities.
Yeah,
in a second.
but anyways, what he said, and we both looked at each other after he said
out so
yeah,
hard.
we geeked out so hard because it was like a reminiscence to us if
Yeah.
I said that right. Like it brought back the Resident Evil 4 feel. Anyways, he said, "What are you buying?"
And as soon as he said that, we were all like, "He said the thing."
But I mean, he didn't just say that though. He's like, "What are you buying?" That's something one of my old friends.
Yeah, it's like it's funny. Something an old friend of mine used to say. And he's like, "Oh my god, those the merchant from Resident Evil."
And like,
we were geeking out for like a good 5 minutes.
I mean, I freaking love the merch from Resident Evil 4, but I feel like I love Duke a little more. Like
it's just like after that, and then we started piecing together. There are so many similarities to Resident Evil 4 in this game, and I think that's another big reason why we love this game so much.
I know why. That's one main reason I do. I know both of us.
There's like multiple tiers of things that like this is just first person Resident Evil in a sense. It's like collecting the treasures and like attaching special treasures to sell for loot. It's like shooting crows with flash grenades and stuff like that. The inventory
system. I know.
And it's just like the guns and the weapon management, everything. It's like everything about this, like even Ethan like has like the corny one-liners like Leon does in Resident Evil 4, and then just like they're so similar in a way. I guess the best way to put it is like it's like someone wanted to make like a game that's very like an homage to Resident Evil 4. But make it a first-person game, and that's what Resident Evil Village is.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's like they wanted to make an homage game to Resident Evil 4, and it's the same company that made Resident Evil 4. And it's like, the entire time we were playing it, someone was just like, yo, they really loved Resident Evil 4, and they're making it known in this game.
I know I pointed this out to you because, like you were saying, like, a lot of it, it's like, since they are bringing the wanting to bring a remake, it's like they were going into that, like, little
We were saying that, too. It's like, why do they need to make a Resident Evil 4 remake? Just play Village. It's pretty much the same game.
I mean, because, like I even said to you, like, I pointed this out to you, like, you brought up everything that, similar to, and I also, like, I pointed out to you, I love to point out, even the storyline alone is like Resident Evil 4 because, the child
you're having to save somebody.
Yeah,
you're going
the child got kidnapped.
You're going to a creepy village.
There's a church.
There's a church. There's a merchant.
There's a merchant.
There's somebody with ballistics too. That's all I did there.
I swear. Everyone.
And again.
Wait, are you talking about Lady D or Duke?
There's ballistics from everybody. And it's just like, there's so many... I mean, again,
Chris got some too, I guess.
Dude, Chris is swole in this freaking game. Holy crap. And I felt, again, I ain't playing for the other team, but there was points in the time where we were playing the game and stuff like that, and there were scenes with Chris in them. I'm like, dang, man, Chris is a handsome boy. And he's swole as heck.
I mean, seriously.
And I'm over, and you were looking at over there at me, and it's like, something you want to tell me? I'm like, what? The man is swole. I can't help it.
I was like, yeah, you're right. But no, like, seriously, like, I'm in agreement with you. It's like, why make a Resident Evil 4 remake?
Just play Village. But I can agree more with like that. It's just the fact that I just can't get over how much this game feels like Resident Evil 4.
It's too similar.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
But I think in the long run it just makes me really excited to try the Resident Evil 4 remake when it happens. When they say it's not official yet, they're working on it.
Obviously.
they know it's just like, because for some reason they don't want to go back and remake Resident Evil 1 again, obviously, because they already did it. They did 2 and they did 3.
Why not do
And
4?
then they just like, hey, people really liked Resident Evil 2. 3 needed a little work. But I feel like they're just like, yeah, we're going full speed with with an RE4 remake, and you know what? I'm okay with it.
I mean,
there may be some things that they'll change. There may be some things that they'll add. We really don't know.
I feel like Village is just your, game to hold you over until the remake comes out.
Because it's your
like,
appetizer until Resident Evil 4 remake. But this is a hefty appetizer.
It really is.
This is like when you get one of those appetizers that feeds like 6 people.
And and you eat it, not expecting it to fill you up, but it fills you up, and you get your entree.
You're like, oh man, I'm so
full. I can't even eat it.
I don't know if I can handle it. And then they bring out your food. And I'm like,
can I get a box?
Exactly. Can I get a box to take this home? But there were so many high points in that game. And just everything, even down to like the characters in the game, is something that we were just like. Because I even told you, it's very rare when I like almost every character in the game.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Every speaking character, I should say.
That's like the same with me. Like, it's hard for me to be intrigued by something. Because there's a lot out there that I'm not that intrigued by. I'm just like, this is iffy.
Even some of our most favorite games, there's been some times just like, I love everything about the game, but there are some characters or certain things about it that I don't like.
Exactly.
And this is no different. There are a lot of things that we like about this game, as well as there are a lot of things that we don't like.
I feel like we like more things than don't like.
Yeah, there's more likes than dislikes.
There is also a very scary moment in this game, too.
Again,
Gets your hand shaking.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and get into this point. This may be somewhat spoilery, so... This is like mid-game of Resident Evil 8, but it's been out.
So go ahead and skip ahead.
Yeah, well, you
could
skip ahead. I'll put if I remember to put a timestamp here. I'll put a timestamp if you're watching this on YouTube, which is probably the only place you can watch it because we don't have it anywhere else yet.
Until we're able to.
Yeah, but I'll put a timestamp right here so you know where to go. So you don't want to get spoiled. But
Definitely.
all right, ready? 3, 2, 1. This is your last chance to skip. Okay, so we're going to talk into it.
This is our favorite part of the game.
This is our favorite part, and our one part that's still absolutely 110% is just so skin-crawlingly uncomfortable to play. And it's everybody already knows what part it is, what we're talking about. It's when you go into the house of the doll maker.
Yeah, the doll house.
Oh my god. And again, when we first played it, and everything like that, we're just like, it's not so bad, and everything like that. And then once you actually take the elevator downstairs to where everything is, that's when stuff gets a little kooky.
Yeah, I feel like it's when the power just shuts off. That's when it gets cookie, and that's oh man.
And obviously you see the doll in the little chair holding the vial with Rose in it and everything like that. And you're thinking, it's like, all right, it's a little unnerving, it's a little weird. And then as soon as you start collecting parts and everything like that and start solving puzzles that's when stuff starts to get really, really weird.
It's weird, it's scary, it's trippy even, because like there's
it's
parts
like
in
every time it's because like I noticed like when we both noticed this, like every time we would solve a puzzle, because there's a little radio in the room where like the big mannequin is on the table that you have to get the pieces from. Every time you would get something, like you would hear like Mia's voice in the radio
talking it's like she's talking to you. I like to point out the doll on the table resembles Mia. It's like they were making Mia into a doll.
Oh yeah, it's like you're having to dig into something like that. I mean, and it was just that alone. Like with me, I'm not one of those people that are weirded out by mannequins, and I don't know how they did it in this game, but the whole mannequin thing really it made me super uneasy.
Me too. And like before we dive deep into this, I like to point out, because with both of us, as soon as we even enter the house at first, it's like, okay, this isn't gonna be too bad.
Yeah, because I mean, the house you enter when you enter the dollmaker house, it's like it's well lit. It's not dark. All the lights work and everything like that. And our stupid dog is barking outside.
Yes.
So if you hear a dog barking, I'm sorry.
We apologize.
But
he decided to bark over nothing.
Yeah.
Because he's a stupid.
Yeah, but we love this goofball.
We do. We love all.
We love all of them.
But back to the dollhouse story.
Yeah, so like again, it's a well lit house. There's no real dark area. It's not really until you start going into like the bottom floor of the house and everything like that, because that's when they start messing with your head and everything.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, on your path there to the dollhouse, Mia was appearing. Remember, they were messing with your head even before you got to the house.
Like the pathway to the house.
Yeah, because you entered like 2 houses.
Mm-hmm. And she just like, it's weird because you're dealing with so many different emotions in that part. You're dealing with guilt, you're dealing with, sense of loss, and you're dealing with fear, and just all these things pile up, and it's just, it's easily one of the most nerve-wracking points in the game, and it's honestly one of the most, like, I guess, like, really, really anxiety-inducing points in the game.
I feel like
as soon as they take your guns away, as soon as that happened, I'm like, frick.
Where's my gun?
It's like, as soon as they took the guns away, and I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be, like, I already knew, like, this is gonna be a point where it's like, you're just gonna have to run from something. You're gonna have you're gonna have to avoid something
if you're losing your
weapons. It's like, since they're not giving you weapons, and because, like, I didn't immediately think, it's like, oh, I'm not gonna fight anything because they're taking my weapons, and this is very more like puzzle based. But oh my god. Do they make it like, oh no, you're gonna be running from something?
I mean, before we talk about what we're running from, like you were saying, like, different emotions, like, throughout the whole thing, it's like, even while you were, like, going through the mazes, or not mazes, but going, solving the doll, like, pulling apart, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if it was this way for you, but I kind of felt sorry for Mia, because it's like, when they were messing with your head and stuff, there was one part
I feel
where
like Mia got the short end of it, and you don't even really know
like,
why.
There's one thing she said that was like, it hit me, because I'm like, sometimes I felt that way too. Probably you did too. But it's like when she's like, everybody leaves me, even Rose. Like, that hit me. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, Mia's been through some stuff.
crap.
Obviously, if you played 7, then obviously the stuff that happened in Village is
but
just she's probably, like, aside from Ethan, obviously she's had it pretty bad too. and again, we'll get more into Ethan in a second, but it's just like, good God, man, just this whole segment of the game is just it's again, and it's very, very unnerving. It's scary. But God, man, it's so well done. It's so well done.
I actually remember, like, right when you entered the room with the doll that was sitting in the chair, because you already brought that up, and how you, like, before you got your weapons taken away, I remember you walking into that room, like, your first playthrough, and I was like, oh, hell nah. And I was like, F this.
Creepy doll in a room and everything like that. And it's not easy to make, like, a doll creepy. Like, you have to really know what you're doing. And trust me, it is not easy to make a doll creepy. You don't believe us? Watch Monday Night Raw. We'll tell you exactly how to not make a doll scary, but extremely stupid.
The doll kind of reminded me of Annabelle in a sense.
I don't know what that is.
It's a movie that you probably have not seen.
Probably
But no,
not.
Like, the way it was dressed and stuff, which I don't know if any of you know what Annabelle is, but that's what the doll reminded me of.
Yeah, because I noticed that, because we read, like, through all the files and stuff, and apparently the doll is supposed to represent, like, life and everything like that, with, like, the mirror, like, she's wearing, like, a wedding, because the doll maker is dressed in all black and everything, and she represents death, so that was just, like, a nice kind of, like, comparison between the two. Like, one represents one thing and one represents another.
I actually remember that, because I remember asking if you, like, went through and read everything, and you're like, I didn't know that. And I was like, yeah, and then, like,
again,
you were so intrigued by hearing that.
It's like Resident Evil 4. It's like, we've played through this game a bunch right now.
Oh, yeah.
And we're still discovering new things that we didn't know about. But, okay, so I finally want to get into it, like, this part about this game. And,
I have not been able to sleep since.
Again, because the part before it actually happens, like, you're going through a hallway, and if you're like us, who have played PT, going through a hallway is never a good thing, because something messed up is always going to happen.
Especially if there's no light.
Because the first thing that we noticed, like, as you're going through the hallway, there's this portrait of a woman on the side, on the left side of the wall. And right as you enter the hallway, the picture falls down. Oh, yeah. And if you look at the bottom of the ground, you'll notice, like, this long red line. And if you keep going a little bit forward, you see that it's an umbilical cord.
Yeah.
Like basically tracing the pathway that you're supposed to take. And as soon as we saw that, and I'm like, I don't know where this is going, but I already hate it. And no, I don't mean hate it in a bad way. Like, I hate it like, oh my God.
Because it's going to scare you.
And it's just like, as we're going down there and everything like that, and again, it's completely dark, you don't see anything, and then I'm just like, you're walking, and then you immediately hear like the thump and like the loud boom of the big feet walking on the floor. And then you see the illustrious, creepy as all hell, disgusting, like we've dubbed him the Jelly Baby.
The 10-pound jelly baby, ugly.
The big jelly baby.
Oh my God, it's horrifying.
Again, you want to know what's a good way to like? It's like, I don't want to have kids, or if you want to have kids, play this game.
Definitely.
Play this portion and really think about it. It's like, this is what, again, people don't believe me when I say. When I don't say it ironically, like kids are like demon spawns, but think about it. And this is a perfect representation of that. Again, nothing against people who have kids and nothing against kids themselves. But it's just like, you could take just any kind of baby gibberish that babies make and sounds they make, and you can warp that. It sounds demonic.
It does.
It sounds like there is something possessing this thing, and it scares the living crap out of me.
And I recommend, if you do get scared easily, you might not want to see that part because you might not be able to sleep right.
And again, like I said, it is nerve-wracking. It's there's something about being pursued, and you know it's chasing you, but you don't want to look behind you because you don't know how close it's gonna be to you. And good God, man, the whole part. I mean, it's gotten to the point now, since we've played through the game so much, we can like zip through it real quick. But even though we've been through it so many times, it's still absolutely just unsettling every time we do it. I mean, it's like, we've been through it. We've seen the Jelly Baby. Yeah. We know the path it takes. We know everything like that. But every time you hear like the warped sounds that it makes, and then you see it, it's just like, oh my God, you're so creepy. I hate you.
Yeah, the one thing that keeps me on the edge of my seat, that terrifies the crap out of me, like you're saying, it's so. I can't even put into words, but it's the part where you finally get the fuse and like you go to the fuse box and you have to wait for that slow freaking elevator.
That is the worst part, because it's like, like you're saying, it's like you put the fuse in, and then you have to wait for the elevator to come back.
You have to wait for
and then as soon as
as
soon as you put the fuse in and the elevator starts, that's when you hear the Jelly Baby, and you hear him stomping towards you, and you're just like, hurry the up the elevator,
because it's so scary, because you don't know if he's right, or she or he is right behind you or not. I think it's a she though.
You want to turn around and look, you do, but it's like, you feel like if you turn around, it's going to be like right there, and that thing is going to eat you, and it's done. And I'm just like,
and you're dead.
And as soon as like, oh my God, and it's so, even when you finally make it into the elevator, when you make it in the elevator and you're leaving and it's still there, I hate it. I hate the Jelly Baby so much.
I can't even hold cups after. It's so unsettling.
And
like,
it's just like, but that's what I'm saying. Is like, some people say that Resident Evil 8 is not as scary as 7. It may not be as scary as 7, but it left a lasting impression, specifically with that part.
I feel like that part alone will make up as scary as 7 was because of that. Because, like...
It's because you're helpless, in a sense, because you don't have weapons, you have no way of defending yourself and everything like that. Honestly, it's the way Outlast is.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit more refined, and it's, like, kind of executed a little bit better.
And in a sense... Most people are saying that it's not as scary as 7, but it represents 4 a lot, and 4 wasn't that scary either.
4 had its elements where it was kind of...
Just like
it was
Village.
Like, I think, it's like, that's the thing, too, because, like, I can say this with complete honesty.
Yeah.
To me, Resident Evil 4 is not a scary game. It has its moments where it's a little... It's a tiny bit unsettling. It's a tiny bit unsettling, but it never gets to the point where I'm like, oh my God, this is scary.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, there'll be points where you're just like, it makes me a little uneasy, or I'm kind of nervous and stuff like that. And I feel like Village kind of does the same thing.
Exactly.
And
it really does.
And again, that's not a bad thing.
No,
that's not a bad thing. You can have your action-y stuff, and you can still implement like horror style stuff in it.
Yeah.
And you can do it right if it's done properly. Which, and honest to goodness, hand to heart, Resident Evil 8 is just... Again, we haven't played a lot of the quote unquote new games for 2021 right now, but I can say like right now, at least at the moment of us doing this one, Resident Evil 8's probably one of our top favorite games of the year.
Definitely.
Of new games that have come out this year, this is probably one of our absolute favorites. Because it's just everything about it, they nailed it.
It's like from beginning to end, you're just intrigued by it.
And it's got so much replay value. It's like, it's got so much replay value now. It's like, you beat the game, obviously you can play harder difficulties, which, I will say this right now, unless you got the balls, do not play Village of Shadows difficulty. I played through that, and it made me want to freaking hit myself in the head with a hammer. It is so frustratingly difficult. And the only difficult parts about it are when you are not able to use your weapons that you have. Specifically, the boss fight with Heisenberg in Village of Shadows is one of the most frustratingly irritating boss fights in the entire game. Specifically if you're playing it in Village of Shadows mode. Because you can only take 2 hits, and if you take those 2 hits, you're dead, and you have to start from the beginning. And it's annoying. I hated it. I had to do it about 50 times, and I wanted to break my hand.
Also, I was trying to say sorry earlier because the dog's
gonna bark.
But he's gonna bark.
This goofball's gonna bark no matter what.
I know, like, I remember you playing it because I'd stay quiet a lot because there was a lot of cuss words.
Oh yeah. It was just like, honestly, like if you do decide to take on Village of Shadow, at least in my opinion, the hardest parts of the game were obviously, like I said, the Heisenberg boss fight and the last boss fight with Mother Miranda. And spoilers. Mother Miranda is the last boss.
It's the last boss, but Heisenberg is just before. I feel like if you want to play that, at least play it through like casual or normal first, and before you dive in.
That's our strategy for it. Yeah. Like, because I didn't play it on casual my first playthrough. I played it on normal. Some people say if you want like a better experience, play it on hardcore first off. Myself, if you want to have yourself a little bit of extra help, a little bit of extra upgrades, so the more difficult playthroughs that you decide to play it on normal first. That way you can get a feel of, where things are, how the game works, what weapons work best for you and everything like that. So when you go to your next playthroughs on harder difficulties, you have a better understanding of it all. And obviously if you have enough credits, because you earn credits by doing certain like tasks in the game, you'll get the ability to unlock like unlimited ammo on weapons. You'll unlock new weapons and all that stuff like that can help you through your playthrough.
Oh yeah, that would
help. I will be honest. Yeah, I may not have done it with like the standard or whatever. I used like guns with unlimited ammo, but trust me, it doesn't matter. If you beat it, you beat it. So,
exactly, and you have that gold star.
Exactly, and again, it's not cheating if they put it in the game.
Exactly.
So, there you go. But overall, I will say this. Resident Evil Village was definitely one of those games that it's just like, yeah, it's one of those games that we played that we can honestly say this is a game that we will be able to consistently go back to and play and still have a fun time playing it.
It's like, it's a game that will capture you from the beginning to end. Like, it's something you would, like you said, want to keep going back and playing.
And it doesn't matter what you play it on, really, because obviously we have like multiple platforms. Obviously we don't have the PS5 or the Series X, but we've seen it run on everything else and it looks great. I've seen this game running on a base PS4. And it runs and looks beautiful.
I feel like, my rating for like, I feel like it's a must try.
Oh yeah, so
like you should
I guess this podcast basically turned into somewhat of a review of Resident Evil Village.
Our review of it.
But if from 1 to 10, we'll give it our JessBen rating. I'll let you give your rating first.
Actually,
1 out of 10. What would you say?
1 out of 10. I would honestly, because Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorite games of all time.
It's just it's a different take style of Resident Evil 4, really.
Since it has, like you said, a different take, since it has a lot of similarities, I'm gonna go ahead, and plus it pulled me in right away. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 10. Oh, I'm gonna give it a 10. What about you?
You don't think there's anything flawed about the game? You can give it a perfect 10?
Yeah.
Very good.
How about
Myself, I will say this. I have the same feeling towards the game as you do. I will say this, it is not a perfect game in my eyes. There are some things about the game that I will honestly say that do bug me. Specifically, the factory is probably, like, this is one of those games that it's just like, it's a roller coaster ride the entire way through.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just like, once you hit the factory, which is like a little bit more or less towards the end of the game, but once you hit the factory, I feel like, again, the factory is not horrible, but it's definitely, I can honestly say, it's probably like the weakest part of the game. That is probably the weakest part. But other than that, like, the characters are great. We love all the lords, the doll maker, Heisenberg, Lady D,
the fish guy,
and the fish guy. Again, fish guy gets no love.
Exactly.
I feel like people don't give the fish guy enough love. I enjoyed his boss
fight.
fight.
Even Mother Miranda doesn't give him enough love.
Exactly, but yeah, it's like all the lords, even Mother Miranda, even though she's not really in the game all that much, is really cool. I mean, Chris is, again, we didn't full-blown say what Chris is, but again, Chris's character in this, again, he's not, like, the way the trailers and everything make it makes it look like he's in the game a lot. He's not. He's not in the game that much.
It's like, I mean, the reason why I gave it a 10, the reason I did it is because, like I said, since it pulled me in and intrigued me so much, and it did remind me of 4 a lot, so it brought back a lot of memories because of what I have on 4. I do have, like, you know, like
we should get some Subway and play Village, like how you used to do with Resident Evil 4.
We definitely should. Make new memories.
Make a new one.
I mean, there was things I got irritated with too, but the reason I gave it a 10 is because of the simple fact. The reason why I rate the way I do is if a game intrigues me enough to keep, like, my eyes on it from beginning to end, even watching you play it, if it captures me like that, that's why I give it a 10.
Oh, yeah.
If it's, like, where I can't really pay much attention to it or it's starting to bore me, that's when I start rating it less because of the boring parts. Like, I just felt intrigued the whole time. There was parts I was still annoyed by.
It was definitely one of those games that you're always constantly just going. There's never a point where you're just, like, you're stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, there's each part of the game that I got scared of you know, like in the castle.
This game will work you if you're that immersed into it. It'll work you really good. But I guess, like, if I had to full blown give a rating to it from, like, 1 to 10,
1 to 10,
10 being the best, 1 being the worst, I'd give it a solid 110%. A solid, I'd give it a 9. The only reason why is, like, again, the only real issue I had with it was just the like, even control wise, the controls sometimes they were a little fishy, but I never had a full blown problem with them. Like, honestly, just like that the factory part of the game is just like that's the low point of the game for me.
Yeah,
and it's not even because the factory's bad. It's just I feel like it just drags on a little too long. It just takes a little too long to get out of the factory.
I mean,
but once you're out of it, you're, like, right back into that same, like, forward, like, fast-paced movement that you've been going. It's just because I feel the factory drags on just a little bit too long. Yeah. But aside from that, everything about the game I absolutely loved.
I feel like a lot of games have that one part that drags on too long. Like, I know
it's not easy to, like, have a game that's just, like, high octane fun the entire way through.
I mean, I know
you'll always have those, like you were saying.
I know Resident Evil 4 has a part where it's quite annoying. I think
it's the factory too in Resident Evil 4. Really.
No, there's the there's the factory. I don't know why I was saying Resident Evil 4 again, but no, yeah, the factory. But I also hate it, like, on the, like, top of the castle, how you have to, like, snipe them and stuff, like the bells and stuff, or, like, you have to shoot them. Because not the bells, like, you have to bring up the little launcher, the
catapult?
I forgot what launcher it is. Like, that it launches and, like, breaks the door open so you can get through.
Yeah, that's catapult.
Yeah, that.
Or, no, they're not catapults, they're cannons.
Yeah,
cannons. Why was I saying? I was thinking this. I think it's because, like, when you're in that castle area, they're throwing catapults of, like, the flame balls at you.
Yeah, that's what
I was thinking about. But it's like, no, you're talking. I'm
talking about the cannon hitting the door.
Yeah, my mistake.
Like, that part just annoyed me so much because I know, like, I remember like telling Ashley to like stay in a place, and of course she would not.
Oh, yeah, because there's that one little like spot, and then it has like a few like open windows, and you tell her to stay in there so you can take out the enemies. She stands in the one windowsill, and she'll always get knocked out right by the catapult. Yep. And I'm like, oh my god, fix this in the remake, please, please fix this in the remake.
I make her always, like, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about that little structure that's right, like, where you get the cannon moved up. With me, I always, you know, like, right when you come up the stairs and, like, before you go to, like, the left, if you keep going straight, and, like, that little building, there, like, on the side, there's, like a chest to get treasure.
You know what I just realized now talking about all this?
What'd you just realize?
I'm going to be more annoyed having to deal with Ashley when in VR, when Resident Evil 4 VR comes out. It's like, I'm curious.
Might tear my hair out.
I'm curious how they're gonna handle that. Like, how do you do an escort mission in VR?
I really don't know.
I guess we'll wait and see. We haven't cracked open that Resident Evil 4 machine yet, so hopefully we get some more information about that soon.
Right.
But
I want it. I love that we got the JessBen rating. That was awesome talking about. Oh yeah, and I wanted to bring up like something I meant to bring up earlier, and I completely forgot because we got intrigued and talking about the village. Talking about collector's edition, I'm still keeping my eyes and trying to find Resident Evil 7.
Oh yeah, we're still trying to find
Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, we want Resident Evil 2. We're still trying to track down a Resident Evil 2 remake collector's edition as well as a Resident Evil 7 one. Hopefully, maybe we'll get lucky and we don't have to put a second mortgage out to get one. Right. Hopefully we will, but yeah.
I mean, maybe we can somehow mysteriously get a PS5 and offer to give them that for
trade you a PS5 for the collector's edition.
Or some Pokemon cards for the collector's edition.
We got plenty.
We got too many.
Yeah, but yes. I feel like yeah, Resident Evil 8 was a banger.
It was amazing.
It was an absolute banger.
It was amazing. It was beautiful.
Clearly the game, like, we didn't even get into, like, the ending or anything like that. We talked about this thing pretty much the length of this podcast.
We have.
And it's like, I feel like the title of the podcast was appropriate for it because we did spend a lot of time in Village. And it was absolutely 110% an incredible experience. Capcom is really like they're really in this like redemption like period right now with a lot of the games that they've been putting out as of late, and Resident Evil 8 is no exception. It's been an amazing experience. I still go back to it now after we've already played it. And I still have fun with it.
Right, me too. Like, they went above and beyond with this one. I mean, obviously, they went
whether
above
or not
and
it
beyond
means they're going to do anything else with it, kind of like how 7 had some DLC. I don't know if they'll do anything with this one. But even if they don't...
The game alone
perfect. It's got tons of replay value. The Mercenaries mode is in the game as well, so if you enjoyed the Mercenary mode, there's that. I think, honestly, the only other weak point of Village that no one has really talked about is the multiplayer game, the RE-verse, but it's not even out yet. So
yeah,
I think once that's actually available and people actually can play it, we'll have more to say about it. But as of right now, it's not available to play yet. So it came free with Village, but it's not available to play yet.
Not yet. Another weak point, though, is something that we also found out going through, like, the notes and stuff, like the photos and stuff, and the characters. Apparently, it was in talks that Ada was supposed to be in the game.
Oh, yeah. Like, that's the other thing, too. Like, because this game has, like, a butt ton of, like, concept art and everything like that.
Yeah,
and one thing we actually saw in the concept art, that there was supposed to be a character that was kind of, like, decked out in, like, this black robe with, like, a plague mask on.
Yeah, it looked like that.
And it was originally supposed to be Ada that was going to play that character, and it's just like they had the concept art and how she was going to look in it, and it looks so cool.
It looks so dope.
But apparently it just, like, I guess due to story constraints and everything like that, it wouldn't have worked with the story, so that's why they cut it.
I mean, I know we looked at each other and we're like, well, Leon's not in the game, so most of the time
it wouldn't have worked. I don't know if I would have worked to see a game where
it's Ada, like, not Leon.
You have Ada without Leon in it.
It would not. It just wouldn't make
sense.
Like,
since it's Chris, if it would have been like Jill or maybe Claire or something like that, I would have been like, oh, okay, that would have been cool. But they decided to make it Ada, and then it's just like, clearly it's like they know where Ada belongs. She belongs in games with Leon, so don't try not to cross the streams, I guess.
Yeah.
They tried that, and it was Resident Evil 6, and we saw how that came out.
That game was a bunch of booty. Mm-hmm. I would not recommend playing it. Like, I got it and sold it.
It's fun to go back and play Resident Evil 6 when you need a good laugh to think, just like, dang, this is what Resident Evil games could have been, and could have continued to be.
I mean, you're not wrong.
But, yeah, so... That's that. I think that'll bring it down to it. I think that's a good place to put a fork in this turkey.
I feel like this is a good place to end our podcast about the village.
Yeah, we had a whole. And who says we can't stay on topic? God
right?
Dang it. This is one episode where we completely stayed on one topic.
They're gonna be like, wait.
At the beginning you kind of jumped around and said other stuff. Shut up. All right, we stayed on the topic for 90% of the podcast.
What about the next podcast? Are you guys gonna be that way too?
No, probably not.
Well, guys, we hope you enjoyed this Untitled Podcast episode 5.
And we will see you all very, very soon.
On episode 6.
I've
been Jess.
I've been Ben.
We hope you have a wonderful night.
And we will see you all in the next one.
We'll see you in the next one.
See you later, everybody.
Later.
What are you buying?
What are you buying? Ah!